Good morning, and thank you for joining us on After GMS, where we're just as attentive to the screens in front of us.
I know. Yeah, we're saying hi.
Exactly, that we're typing on. I'm Tracy McCain here with Megan Malaris and meteorologist Christian Morgan. This is After GMS, our Facebook Live show we do every Monday through Friday at 7:45.
It's great to already be interacting with so many of you who are tuning in, presumably first and foremost to see the forecast on Sunday. Christian Morgan has been tracking this very closely, and now you're getting a better sense of timing and what kind of precipitation to expect.
Yeah, all those details are starting to come a little more into a clearer picture, but still, we're several days away. We're still 5 days away from this thing. So until then, we have pretty quiet weather. There's not a lot happening in the weather department. Thankfully, we can spend a little extra time forecasting for Sunday. So quickly here and now, there's a little sunshine this morning across the triad, but you notice the clouds are rolling in and they'll likely take over as we go throughout the rest of the day. Cold to start this morning in the upper 20s now, on our way to around 50, even some low 50s this afternoon. For some folks, it's a breezy day of weather from time to time as well. But those clouds clear out, of course, as we go into Friday. Now let's talk about the Sunday system. We have moved the snow meter into the likely category because I do think it's likely that all of us will see some snow. Now, there will be more snow and less snow for some and for others, just depending on where you're located. So here's the big setup. Yeah, things are quiet across the country right now, and especially in our neck of the woods as well. So where is our storm system? Well, we've been talking for the last couple of days how it's been living out over water well out to the west in the Pacific Ocean. You can see it spinning up there, moving in over land. Oregon, up Washington State right now, that's where that storm system is. And once it gets completely over land, we're able to send up weather balloons and collect a whole lot more information and a whole lot more data from that storm. That, of course, goes into our forecasting and into our models, so we're able to nail things down a little bit clearer as we get a little closer in time. On the weather map, no real big features impacting our weather right now. We just kind of stay high and dry, but that high pressure living off of the coast. There will be a little upper level disturbance crosses us overhead today, and that's responsible for our cloud cover as well. Now, heading into tomorrow, there's a bit of a cold front that will start to cross the area and then moves past by the time we get into Saturday morning. Behind that front, cold Arctic air from the north will start to build in and rush in really by Saturday. And that is step one for our storm system. So the cold air arrives before the storm system itself gets here, and it will continue its track into the Carolinas and into the Piedmont by Sunday. You know, we always say one of our big rules for winter weather, the cold air's got to be here first. And that is not an issue this time around. Saturday, I expect to be a pretty quiet day of weather. Can't rule out a stray snow shower in the afternoon and evening hours, but the real big stuff starts to get going late Saturday night, really overnight and really early Sunday morning. So likely starting as some snow for a few hours, and some of that could come down quite heavy, and then transitioning to a period of sleet around midday, possibly even some freezing rain by the afternoon and evening. And then it could end as some snow on the backside of the system as it pulls away late Sunday night and early Monday morning. I'll tell you, the trends over the last 24 hours have now been a little more back to the south and east, which could mean a little more in the way of snow and a little less in the way of ice. That's not a guarantee. Yes, it will change. Yes, it will wiggle around some over the next couple days. But of course, we'll be keeping you updated on that. The way I see it right now, again, this is not set in stone or a guarantee. It looks like this would mainly be a snow event for our friends in the northwestern counties, and especially up into Virginia as well. For us here in the Piedmont Triad, likely a mix of everything. Snow, sleet, freezing rain. I expect all of those to remain on the table as we go into the weekend. But this is a pretty significant winter storm shaping up, and I do think this is going to be a big deal for our area. I don't think this is an easy, quick, in and out of here kind of thing, and we're back to our regular programming, if you will, on Sunday night and early Monday morning. I think this is going to linger for quite some time, especially depending on how much icing we're able to do. I'll tell you this, I think you need to be where you're going to stay for a while by Saturday night. I would park it there I don't think you're going to be getting out and going around much on Sunday. Travel will be difficult, even dangerous in some places, and of course, depending on how much ice we get, could mean a lot in the way of power issues and how long those issues do stick around. So the weekend in a nutshell kind of looks like this. Saturday is prep day, and I would finish all those preparations by Saturday at lunchtime or early afternoon. Sunday, you're not going anywhere on Sunday. That's storm day, okay? All of this will be playing out and happening on Sunday, and then likely having some travel issues, possibly power issues that linger over into Monday as well, and maybe even into the first part of the week, just depending on how much icing that we do get. Until then, we'll be keeping you updated. Of course, keep checking back. Download that News 2 Radar app, that News 2 Weather app. That's a great tool to have. We update that constantly, and of course keep checking back with us for updates online and on our Facebook pages as well. But the quiet weather continues through the rest of the work week. Enjoy that while we have it. Low 50s today, near 50 for your Friday with sunshine, and then the cold air moves in on Saturday. Sunday will be the day of the week to circle on the calendar and in your mind, and we'll keep you updated. We'll be watching it for you.
All right, so we have the forecast, though still so many questions because we all want to know timing, totals, but those are the things that need to be fine-tuned.
Right.
Keeping that in mind, we want to talk about our first conversation, which has everything to do with winter and the storm. It will have most of us staying home Sunday. Preferably, yes, stay off the roads, stay home on Sunday. But with any storm, there's always a rush, and you start thinking about being snowed in and what you're going to do to pass the time and what you're going to need from the store. I mean, literally everything is going through your mind. Use this time to get ready.
Right. Supplies, if the power were to go out, especially if your heat were to go out, what would you do? Where could you go? So we want to know, what plans are you making for the winter storm this weekend? What have you already shopped for? What do you still need to get? Some of you are typing on the feed now. While you do that, let's share some responses we got from the Good Morning Show today. Don and Marie said, prep the generator. We just restocked the pantry, so we are good to go. Donna said she'll be crocheting and or reading on Sunday. This viewer said they plan to sit and watch it come down with a glass of wine in hand.
Rhonda said Sunday snow day equals coffee, cooking, reading, and letting our puppy play in the snow. Sounds perfect. We had this one from a viewer who said they're getting out of Dodge of the weather and says, I'll be in Pensacola, Florida, meeting my newest grandson. Perfect. I love that. Sharon said, cannot wait to fix homemade soup, melted cheese sandwiches, and hot Russian tea.
Oh, that sounds good.
Oh, that does. I've never had Russian tea, but I'll take anything hot.
Do you like spice? You like a spice tea? It's kind of the same thing. Oh,
like an apple
you like
spice.
It. Yeah, you would enjoy it.
Oh.
Real good.
Okay. So we're thinking about, obviously, what we can do to pass the time. I just love looking at snow. I don't necessarily like being out in it, but it is so pretty to look at. And I love, watching our kids play in it, after it stops. But it's always the thought of getting out on the roads and maybe having to navigate, treacherous situations that makes me uneasy. But the good part of it is the kids have fun for a few days.
They do.
If it's the right type of snow.
If it's the right type of snow. Even if it's not, they manage to find a way to have fun anyway. So important to have them dressed properly. Speaking of, my husband said yesterday that he went shopping for the winter storm, and turns out what he got was a sled for our 2-year-old. So
funny.
We're all set.
Everything you need.
Just take the sled to the grocery store if we run out of food, right? we're ready.
He's like, Megan, I got this.
Yeah.
Here's the checklist.
Take the sled to the hospital if I go into labor. Oh gosh, knock on wood. That can't happen right now.
Let's not speak
Let's
that
not speak things
Let's
into
not
existence
speak that
here.
into existence. But yeah, no, but I'm trying to think about these situations if we were to lose power, especially as you know, with kids, it's a little more complicated than if it's just you or you and your spouse. And so, do we have batteries? Do we have a heat source? Do we have somewhere close by where we could drive to for those resources if the roads are bad? So it's all things to be considering now before we get to Sunday.
Yeah, getting a generator was one of the best things we could have ever done.
We need to do that.
Yeah, it was just, but I didn't realize that there's more to it than just getting a generator. You also have to have a port that is, I guess, sturdy enough? I don't know, that supports all that you are trying to pump out in terms of energy. So you can't just buy the generator and be like, I've got a generator. There's actually, we had to call an electrician to the house to make sure that everything was, backed up and properly running so that it could effectively work.
Well, that's a good idea to get it checked, because we hear, unfortunately, of generator incidents each year where they're not hooked up correctly and then have very bad consequences.
So that's checked off the list.
That's good.
Christian, what's on your to-do list?
Work.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're right there with you, but yes.
But, I will say, as you guys know, I enjoy a good snow. Now, with that being said, the caveat to this is I don't think it's all going to fall as a nice, beautiful snow. You know, we have to deal with the sleet, and we have to deal with the freezing rain. But I do think that some of our area could get several inches of snow early Sunday morning before we see a transition to sleet. And again, I'll reiterate the fact, we're still 5 days out from this, so we haven't put any numbers on a map just yet. Tim and I are going to work on that this evening and today, and you'll likely see some numbers on a map maybe late tonight or tomorrow at some point. But still, as this is now coming onto land, things are becoming a little more clear. So we have a better picture of what will happen. But I do think that there's a mixed bag of everything in the cards for Sunday. Me, after work, I'm planning on a pot of soup or a pot of corn chowder and just sitting back and hopefully just enjoying and relaxing the afternoon after we kind of bring the coverage to you that Sunday morning.
All right, a lot of people are responding to Jose Moreno's post.
Yes.
About one of his apps says that it's predicting 8 to 12. Clearly, it's not the News 2 app, right? Because we haven't done snow totals yet, but 8 to 12 inches of snow. And I'm not really sure because he also mentioned another weather system next Thursday, if it's this weather system or next one. But since you are the meteorologist who is putting your name and reputation on the line,
oh gosh,
thank you.
It's still too early, right, to kind of hone in on that.
It's still too early to hone in on that. And I'm not going to go off on too much of a tangent here, but I've got a lot of questions over the last couple of days about, hey, how come this app that I downloaded from this person or this company or this other big named weather place, which I will not mention by name here, how come it's showing this and how come it's showing that? And why does this say 8 to 12 inches? And how come it's changing every day? And that's a lot that people don't understand. They look at the apps and they change every day. So in a quick synopsis here, the reason we tell you to download our app here at News 2 is not simply because we just want you to download our app. We do, but it is updated by myself, Ed, Tim, Monique, Eric. Our entire weather team is constantly updating that, and so it has human interaction in it. A lot of these, big name weather apps that you download that are just big companies or from somewhere else, they're all ran by computers, and most of those forecast updates, whether it be conditions or temperatures or snowfall amounts, are all updated based on one deterministic model run. And there's actually no human interaction. So for us, our app has us updating it with our latest thoughts. So you don't see it rapidly change from model run to model run. It's a little more consistent and has a much better picture of what's happening, of course, as it's based on our forecast here in-house. So if you don't have the News 2 app or News 2 weather app, I would download that right now. You'll see much more clearer information and a better picture of what's going to happen rather than a big name app that's changing things.
Right.
I mean, you could go from saying it's all sunny on Sunday right now and it may say, a foot of snow later today. It changes that quickly.
So Kim wants to know, are we talking about power outages? And if so, how many, how widespread could they be? Christian, it sounds like that all depends on what kind of precipitation we get, especially how much freezing rain is a factor.
Yeah, the freezing rain and the icing potential is really going to mean a lot in terms of power outages. I'll just tell you now, I think travel on Sunday is done for. I would be where you're going to be by Saturday night and plan to stick it out there through Sunday and probably into Monday as well, because this thing doesn't move away until really early Monday morning, really in the overnight hours. So travel issues are a given, I think. Power issues, I do expect there to be some. Now, as far as them being widespread, a lot of that, again, will depend on just how much icing that we're able to get. And of course, a lot of that and a lot of our forecast on that depends on what happens over really the course of today and heading into tomorrow morning. I'll tell you kind of from a meteorology standpoint and some behind the scenes tracking, over the last day, it looks like this has taken a little more of a southeast track. So what does that mean to you in terms of icing and power outages? If it takes a more southeasterly track, that could mean more in the way of snow and maybe more in the way of ice. That's not a guarantee, and we'll likely see it change and wiggle back and forth over the next 24 to 48 hours, and really up until the event actually happens. It will change some, not as drastic, of course, as we get closer. But if that southeast trend continues, I wouldn't expect there to be as much in the way of power outages because it would likely mean less ice. Now, on the contrary, if it continues and takes a more northwest trend and moves back to the north a bit, that would likely mean more freezing rain or more sleet and more icing problems, which would lend itself to more power outages. So it's still too early, it's still too early to nail down exact timing on that and exact, predictions for that. But I would say keep check on that. Right now, I do think there's an opportunity to get some freezing rain, which would cause some power outages. Just still not really sure yet about how widespread those would be.
All right, and so you're thinking this would start as snow.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing for road crews who are prepping right now or getting ready to prep the roads.
Yeah.
They usually do that salt water mix called brine to make sure that the roads are stable for whatever falls. But if it rains first, then that's worthless. But we're going to get snow first, you think?
Yeah, I don't see this starting as rain. You know, a lot of people like to put down the brine and then it rains really heavy and it washes it away and it's kind of useless at that point. I don't see this starting as rain. I actually see this starting as snow. There could even be a few snow showers Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. Not big deal, but I don't see this as a rain event to wash all that off the road. So if crews are planning to brine and planning to treat roads, probably gonna actually help, you know, this time around as opposed to, you know, a week ago when we had heavy rain. Anything that was on the roads at that point all got washed away. I don't see that happening this time.
Everybody's commenting about getting the bread and the milk, and then someone said, I never understood that. Maybe everyone loves to fix French toast when it snows. I think it's bread and milk because those are the staples children typically need, right? And also, you know, if you have bread, you can make a sandwich. You don't need electricity. The milk, if it's cold enough, you can put it outside.
Right.
You don't necessarily need refrigeration. So
I think it's more of a power thing. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, you know, most people have peanut butter and jelly and those kind of things that they don't always have to buy, you know, that won't go bad if the refrigerator goes out. So it's easy to make a sandwich with that kind of stuff.
Very easy to make a sandwich. You don't necessarily need to, you know, put ham and cheese on it or open the refrigerator, because obviously when the power goes out, you want to keep your refrigerator closed as much as possible, because as soon as you open it, you're losing, you know, days of food. So just keep it closed so you can try to keep your food a little bit longer. But anytime you have to go in the fridge for ham, cheese, or I don't like mayonnaise, but some people put mayonnaise in the refrigerator. I know, it's a thing. I don't know. I don't eat it. Or mustard, for those who like any condiments. I don't like any. But anyway, that's not about me. It's just easier just to grab peanut butter and also the bread and just kind of make sandwiches. That's what we used to do. That's what I still do. And I love peanut butter. Don't like condiments, but I love peanut butter.
We went off on that condiment tangent a while back, didn't we?
And I didn't mean to do it again. It just kind of happened. I don't know why. It just does.
It's always a fun fact I've known about you. You do not like plain sandwiches.
Just
anyway,
plain.
Hey, we digress. Okay, so Scott has a question.
Sure.
Christian, how soon will the watches and warnings be issued?
It's a really good question. I'm kind of watching that like a hawk today. I would expect the National Weather Service to mention maybe issuing those. I don't know if they'll issue them today or wait till tomorrow. You know, a lot of that's done office by office, and again, not to get off too much in the weeds here, but we have two national weather offices that really serve our area. One's in Raleigh and one's up in Blacksburg, Virginia. So it could be a situation where we see our northern counties, you know, Rockingham County, Stokes County, Surrey County, we could see watches, winter storm watches issued for those folks earlier than places like Guilford County, Forsyth County, Randolph County, and Alamance County, and so on and so forth. Just depending on how those offices issue those watches and warnings. I do expect those to come. They may not come today. They may not come until tomorrow, but we'll be watching that. Of course, when those get issued, we'll pass those along to you.
All right, so some of us have to travel on Sunday morning for obvious reasons, maybe work. For those people, in terms of timing, are you thinking like we'll be okay until a certain point? Like at what point in the day do you think it's going to turn into a mess and a disaster?
It's a little hard to say right now. You asked. Just because, you know, I'm really harping on the fact that we don't have exact timing down just yet. Okay. I can tell you, it's pretty clear this is a early Sunday morning through Sunday type of thing. I can't tell exactly when it's going to start yet or when it's going to shut off yet. But this is really a Sunday thing. Saturday you're fine. Sunday will be tough. But this is starting as snow, and likely won't start as sleet or freezing rain, at least the way it looks to me now. So, you know, it's okay. We can get around okay in snow when it's pretty light because it packs and there's still a little bit of traction there. And we'll likely have possibly several hours or a few hours of pretty good snow early in the morning through midday. So up until that point, I think, again, I wouldn't be out too much, driving around too much or going anywhere far, but I think you're okay to kind of get around early on. Then once we get into midday, and it could come earlier, it may come later, once you start to see that mixing into sleet, then things get slick. And especially when things start to transition into that period of freezing rain, we start to get really slick in anything that falls. So remember, we're going to start as snow, transition over into sleet, likely, and then possibly some freezing rain on top of that. So whatever you get in the way of snow will be packable. Then if you add sleet on top of that, it's heavy and it packs it down, which becomes slick. And then on top of a layer of sleet, you could also have some freezing rain. So just think about that in terms of stacking it up and how slick things get. Snow's packable, sleet is slick, and the freezing rain just coats everything and gets heavy and slick. And that's where your trees start to get coated and power lines, and that's where we could see the power issues. Earlier the better on Sunday if you have to be out. And as long as it's snowing, that's packable and you can kind of move around if you have to. Once we get to midday and we change over, I would stick it out at home.
Is it going to be warm enough early next week for us to thaw out? I mean, a lot of the students are already out of school on Monday, and several businesses are closed for MLK Junior Day. But what about Tuesday or Wednesday? I mean, are we going to be still dealing with the lingering effects of this?
That's a really good question and something good to point out. We're not going to be warm. Our afternoon highs after Sunday. Sunday we may be in the 20s all day long. I've got us at 31 right now for Sunday, but just depending on how soon that precipitation starts and how fast it cools us off, we may stick it out in the 20s most of the day on Sunday. And then of course low 20s Sunday night, early Monday morning. So, almost without question there would be issues Monday morning, 40s Monday afternoon, but we have sunshine. And sun does a lot in the way of really melting things away and drying things up that are on the roads. Now, anything that melts, likely will run out into the streets. So any water, any moisture that's left on the roads would likely cause black ice issues on Tuesday. So I think that's a possibility too. Wednesday, probably not as much. And again, a lot of this goes back to how much of the sleet and the freezing rain we get. Snow's easy to clear. Ice, sleet are not. But we could be dealing with some travel issues Monday for sure, and possibly Tuesday. And again, just depending on how much ice we get and how much we see in the way of power issues may mean a lot of in the way of how quickly we rebound and get back to everything being open and normal life, I guess, if you will, by the middle of next week.
Okay.
All right. Before we get to headlines, I do have a question out there for people who are talking about their condiments. They like mayo. Do you keep it in the fridge or do you keep it in the pantry? Just type it in. I just want to know.
Isn't it supposed to be refrigerated after it's open?
After it's
You have
opened,
to ask
I thought.
someone who eats it.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't care much for mayo either, but I'm pretty sure after it's open, it has to be refrigerated.
Kind of like jelly, right?
Right.
Yeah. Once you open it, it's got to be in there.
Yeah.
Ketchup?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Although I've heard Tanya talk about this, if your power goes out, condiments are usually good for a while in the fridge if you keep the door closed longer than some other more perishable foods. So anyway, that's all things to check. But yeah.
Once I'm on a tangent, it's hard to get me off.
I'll say this too. If your power goes out and you have a cooler and there's snow and ice on the ground, if you got to keep stuff cool, put some snow and some ice in a cooler and stick it in there.
That's true. Or just stick everything outside.
Stick it in the yard.
Right.
Yeah, it's free. Wi-Fi people for ice at the grocery store.
That's right.
That's the only, I think, good thing about, well, two things that are really great. Most people are off work on Monday, some even on Tuesday, schools. The other great thing is that this is kind of like a day event. So if you do lose power, you can, put things outside or make plans to do things for the nighttime. And hopefully that'll give crews enough time to get the power back on before you go to bed at night, Yeah,
it's just gonna be really cold. So,
it is gonna be cold
checking on your neighbors, especially those who are elderly, is gonna be really important.
We can do it. We've done it before.
We'll get through this one.
We'll get through it again.
That's right.
All right. We'll get a final check on your forecast in a minute, but first, we do have some important headlines happening today. Guilford County leaders will decide whether to reinstate a county-wide mask mandate. Right now, a mask requirement is in place, but applies to unincorporated Guilford County and towns who opted into it. Greensboro and High Point did not, but all of Guilford County, including both of those cities, will have to comply if the Board of Health passes a new mask mandate. At 5 o'clock tonight, we'll let you know what is decided. This morning, 2 people, including a student, are recovering from a Guilford County school bus crash. The Highway Patrol said a 16-year-old Southeast Guilford High School student and 74-year-old driver had minor injuries. Investigators say the driver, Mary White, went off the road, hit a culvert, veered back across the road, and that's when the bus turned on its side. The crash is under investigation and charges are pending against the driver.
Well, today, Governor Roy Cooper heads to Kingston, about 80 miles east of Raleigh, to tour a COVID-19 testing and vaccination site. The tour starts around 12:15 this afternoon. We'll keep you updated at noon. Well, scientists are seeing signs the highly contagious COVID variant Omicron might have reached its peak in Guilford County. Wow, that would be great news. WFMY News 2's Denise McMiller spoke with someone about this and has an update on the fight against the COVID pandemic.
Well, by monitoring the number of people who walk through hospital doors like the ones here at Cone Health, scientists can get a good idea of what the Omicron wave looks like. And according to that data, it's showing that the highly contagious variant is reaching its peak right here in the Triad. Now, to show how fast Omicron spread, check out this graph. It shows in Guilford County, we went from less than 300 COVID cases at the end of December to nearly 1,400 3 days later at the start of this year. We've also seen record level cases with a daily percent positive of more than 30% over the weekend, and we're still near that record today. Scientists say based on their data models, they can predict the next direction of the pandemic.
With the rapid growth potential of Omicron, as we've observed, we anticipate a much steeper peak and faster peak, right? So to your question, yeah, it will likely be shorter, but it still is a very severe peak.
Cone Health's data scientist says he expects the peak to last another week or so before we see the number of people infected noticeably decline. It's unclear if cases will go down just as fast as they spiked.
The UK just this morning started to post some data about the rate of hospitalizations are now decreasing. So we'll be watching that. We do anticipate that it should decrease fairly steeply, but again, it's still too early to tell.
And the experts who track the trends of this pandemic say how long we stay in this greatly depends on what we do. So doing things like wearing a mask, getting vaccinated and boosted all have some control over when this surge will end.
All right, let's get one more check of that forecast before you head out today. Quiet weather as we round out the work week. That's not bad. Clouds build in as we go throughout the day on Thursday. It's a mostly cloudy day of weather today. Low 50s this afternoon. We're back around freezing tonight. We see more sunshine on your Friday, but we are back up around 50 again. So 2 pleasant afternoons, and then things start to change. A cold front will slide by tomorrow, and then cold air rushes in behind that. Highs in the 30s on Saturday with the clouds thickening up. Could be a stray snow shower for Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening. And then, of course, the big deal winter storm day is Sunday. Snow transitioning to sleet, possibly a period of freezing rain. All of that is on the table for Sunday. Travel will be difficult on Sunday and likely lingering into Monday as well. We'll keep an eye on the icing potential. That will mean a lot in the way of what could be some power outages Sunday and carrying over into the early part of next week. But we are cold next week. Morning lows in the 20s below freezing. So it'll take a while for some of this to melt off. And then afternoon highs in the 40s. 40 Monday, 42 Tuesday. We're in the mid 40s again with sunshine by the middle of next week.
All right, I'm asking for a friend who may or may not be on this feed.
Yes.
Just saying.
Yes.
Is there any potential or any chance that we could get this all wrong and this is just rain or nothing at all?
You know, I would like to say that there's a chance that everything could be wrong. Then I would be really terrible at my job.
Okay.
And that would not be good, would it? I mean, yes, by some crazy something happening, it is Mother Nature after all. Mm-hmm. Sure. But I don't see that happening. I'd be willing to bet money that doesn't happen. So I do think that we are headed for a big deal winter storm pretty significantly on Sunday.
All right, well, that settles that.
Now, on the contrary, you know, again, we're only a few
butt.
days out from this, so things can and will change to some degree. I don't know if that will trend more snowy or if it will trend more icy. That's something we'll keep a close eye on today and tomorrow, and we'll start to really get a good picture. But I mean, there's a storm system coming.
Okay. He's willing to bet money. Is he willing to bet all the App State games for the rest of his life?
Oh my gosh. I mean, maybe, like I don't know, for the rest of my life, I don't know now, because I don't know how long I'm going to live.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, your point is taken. Something is coming.
Yeah.
And we'll have to all be weather ready.
Yeah, I just say this for the people, some, who are like, they get it half right, they get it half wrong, and then they don't prepare, and then they're stuck. And, that kind of just gives everyone the surety, the reassurance that, you know, there is something big coming and we need to do what we can now to make sure we're ready before Sunday.
I'll reiterate this fact too. I don't make the weather.
Oh yeah, no.
I don't control the weather. I just prepare you for the weather that I see coming down the road.
It's so funny.
I'm the messenger.
Curtis said, it's not going to happen, Tracy.
He's right.
And then Dana literally replied after, it's going to happen, Tracy. Oh, this is why I love this show.
All right. With that, let's wrap it up. We appreciate you spending part of your morning here with us on After GMS. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow.
All right, we'll be here. See you later.
Then.